It is finally being unveiled as to which Rolex is the most expensive Rolex in history. Just in case you didn't know, the Paul Newman Rolex Daytona has recently become the most expensive Rolex ever sold at auction. Can you believe it? Somebody bought this item for $17.8 million. And yes, exactly like I said, $17.8 million. An anonymous bidder in the year 2017 finally decided to make an outrageous bid for a Rolex watch that actually looks extremely simple and ordinary. The reason I state this is because it's very odd that the most expensive Rolex to this date is just normal stainless steel, and all it has is an exotic dial. The Phillips auction house in New York finally decided to have a mega watch sale that went on for hours. It included 50 different watches, but without a doubt the Paul Newman Daytona just blew the competition away. It's definitely a legendary watch. But what's really mind-boggling is the fact that the individual that decided to sell this watch didn't expect to get more than $1 million for it. But what do you know? Almost 18x of the predicted value. Before the Paul Newman Daytona was purchased, the highest value for somebody to bid on a watch was $11.1 million. It was for a stainless steel Patek Philippe. But can you believe it? $7 million of a difference? $7 more. $7 million. This watch actually was released to the public in 1963. If we go back to the origins, the Daytona was created after the famous Daytona Speedway located very close to Daytona Beach, all the way in the state of Florida. It was made as a watch that race car drivers were known to wear. And who a better representative than the famous Paul Newman, a world-famous actor and a beloved race car driver who was extremely popular among the people. He starred in multiple films, including Cat on Hot Tin in the year 1958, Exodus in 1960, and Cool Hand Luke in 1967. And best of all, what really brings value to this watch is the famous racing movie called Winning. Because of the fact you will see this watch being worn by him multiple times in the movie. If we go back to the origins of how the name was created, many watch collectors got even tired and started referring to this watch as the Daytona, with the rare dial or the exotic dial. So slowly they started referring to it as the Paul Newman Daytona. You know, the one he wears in the movie? The perfect nickname someone can give to a vintage watch. And to really add flair to its uniqueness, if you look under the watch, it's inscribed with the words "Drive me carefully." But not only was the watch featured in the movie, but for many years after, Paul Newman was seen wearing his famous watch in photographs, promotional materials, documentary footage, and just everywhere he traveled to. So it has a bit of Hollywood flair to it. If anyone said, "I want a Rolex," just like Paul Newman, everyone knew what that meant. It's ridiculous that even though this watch was extremely popular, production had to stop in the year 1970, and no one knows why. Although it looks as amazing as it does, a collector must have had an extremely high love for either Paul Newman or that movie, because nowhere is it justifiable to pay $18 million for just a simple Rolex. Please comment below if you think the price tag is worth it, or if you would ever pay that much for a Rolex. I'm sure you've seen pictures of this watch in the video. Does it really look as beautiful as the price tag?